As South Africa marks Women's Month in August, we reflect on their journeys, lessons and hopes for the future. SABC News spoke to the former Minister of International Relations and seasoned public servant and current Nelson Mandela Foundation Chair, Dr. Naledi Pandor, and her daughter, Doctor Aisha Pandor, an award-winning scientist and PhD in human genetics, a business management graduate and co-founder of SweepSouth. Dr. Pandor began with her reflections of the 9th of August of 1956 Women's March.
A few ways. I think, the one is obviously recognizing the bravery and the sacrifice of the women who marched in 1956. And then I think that the other way is obviously thinking about my generation as flag bearers and as women who are confronting different challenges, but challenges that are no less important. And so I think it's, being very grateful for the women who came before us, and then also serving to be a good example for young women to build. I'm an entrepreneur, an investor, so I'm a builder. And so being really passionate about building the South Africa that I think that we all deserve.
And one of those very women who's walked before you is your mother, Dr. Naledi Pandor, who's also with us now, Aisha, might I add. And Dr. Naledi, let's also just hear from you some of your reflections. I know Aisha touched on the woman of 1956, and having looked from then to fast forward 2025 where we are now, let's get some of your reflections as well.
Well, I think that it's very important that as a country and a people, we celebrate our history and celebrate those who made a signal contribution to the history of South Africa. When I reflect on those women of August 9, 1956, I celebrate them, but I wonder, at their ingenuity at that time, at their ability to organize. I always ask myself, how did they manage so quietly to get over 20,000 women to Pretoria successfully, and then to march all the way to the Union buildings, and to do this in a conceptually, I think, clear manner, where you had women from all classes, all races, all backgrounds coming together with the single intention of challenging the apartheid state. It's immense courage, immense fortitude, and an incredible commitment to freedom in our country.
And Aisha, I know I happen to have caught, some of your interaction and engagements on the socials. You speak so highly of your mother most of the times there on the socials. Let's just hear from you. What are some of the greatest lessons that you actually take from her? And I ask this because she also touches on some of the issues that women in 2025 face in the country. Let's just hear from you as to, what are some of the greatest lessons that you've taken from your mother thus far?
There's so many. How long do I have? I think some of the biggest lessons, and I'm a mom myself, and so I have children, and I reflect as I bring up my children on the values that I was brought up with, and I think one of the biggest things is integrity, and the importance of values and of standing up for what you believe in. So I think, that obviously has been a big part of my upbringing, not just through my mother, but through both of my parents, through my grandparents, great-grandparents. And then, my mom spoke about courage. I spoke about courage, and how it relates to Women's Day. And I think my mom is also someone who has shown courage in the face of sometimes pushback. When she is speaking about her beliefs, speaking about values, speaking about what's right, speaking about protecting people who are downtrodden and who don't always have the voice themselves to speak up. And then another very strong value that I have observed firsthand that my mom enshrines is hard work. She is someone who is incredibly hardworking, who believes in the value of hard work and just showing, your value through hard work and not necessarily talking but doing. And then she's also someone who is honest and who's transparent and who is who she says that she is. She's not someone who hides behind labels or titles or facades. She's just, she's very, very straightforward and down to earth.
And Dr. Naledi, I know being a parent whom your kids actually share you not just with the immediate surroundings, but almost the entire world, given the nature and scope of your job. Just how did you balance all of that?
Well, I think the first thing is I have a really fantastic partner, my husband Sharif, and we've shared in the duties and obligations of parenting together. I did play my role of dropping children at school, picking up in the afternoon, Saturday sports events and so on. But a lot of the slack, which was necessary because of my job, was picked up happily by Sharif, and then various members of the family who would step in from time to time to assist. But really, it's the partnership with my husband and the support he gave me in the course of my career.
And I know also you just, reflected on some of the struggles that women till this day actually face, Dr. Naledi. Maybe let's hear from you where you think South Africa is right now when it comes to transformation, especially on the policy front, having been on the forefront of it. Let's hear from you where you think we are in terms of BEE, in terms of gender equality, just as a whole on the policy front and advancing the women's agenda. Where are we as a nation?
Well, I think, sadly, African women, black women in particular, continue to face the triple challenges that we used to speak of when we were theorizing the economics, of apartheid. They are black, they are without skills, without high-level education, and they live primarily in rural areas. So those triple challenges impact extremely negatively on women and continue to place them in a situation of inequality and disadvantage. This is something we need to address vigorously as South Africa. A second aspect is that women do not as yet enjoy access to economic power. We need to have more women entrepreneurs, provide directed support to women who aspire to be business owners and employers, and ensure that the disadvantage of being in an unequal society does not curb their ambitions and prevent them from being a significant contributor to South Africa. In terms of law, I think we have to do more about monitoring this matter of equal pay for equal work. I also think we need to modernize some of our tax legislation and really begin to look at how we can reward women through the taxation system for their contribution through work at home, through support to children, how we can provide some form of allowance for that. Because despite modernity and the fact that there are many males who play a positive role in supporting children and families, the burden falls largely on women. And they're not at all recognized or rewarded in tax terms for this role.
And Dr. Aisha, let's hear from you. We heard there that, the wheels of change are grinding, albeit at a slow pace. What do you add?
Yeah, so, I speak from the perspective of business and as an entrepreneur. And there's still a lot of work that needs to be done to support women who are building businesses. I think, the points that my mom raised about supporting women who work, ensuring that women have, mentorship funding. I think we still are not doing nearly well enough. In the field that I'm in as a technology entrepreneur, women receive around 2% of funding globally that goes into startup businesses. Black women receive, a fraction of that, probably around 0.2%. So there's still a lot to be done. And then I think, in the types of businesses we build, and again, I think this comes from the influence of both of my parents, but in particular my mom. But the businesses that I build are businesses that really revolve around women. So with SweepSouth, my first business, we help women who are unemployed and underemployed access work. We've helped 50,000 women access work opportunities. And as these women work, they're able to take care of their families, become active members of their communities, economically active, upwardly mobile. And then my second business is a women's health business that helps women with chronic conditions. And so I think, the importance of women being supported in building businesses is that because we've been through these experiences ourselves, we have the context to problem solve for issues that affect our peers. And I think that's critically important when we talk about the conversation around, where women are and how we help women progress and how we support women to move up in their careers.
And you touched there on being in business, and I think that also needs someone who's, savvy with money. Let's hear about some of the best financial or saving lessons that you've learned from your mother when it comes to those finances. Were you being taught to spend or save?
My mom is a brilliant example that unfortunately I cannot say that I have always followed and been sort of very disciplined in following as an entrepreneur. But she's a brilliant example of someone who is very financially disciplined. She is, I would say, maybe a little too cautious. I think she could probably treat herself a little bit more. She prefers to sort of support her family. But my mom is someone who never overspends. My parents would always say, and it would annoy me immensely when I was young, they would say, never a borrower or lender be. And, and I hated that because I was like, well, you should borrow and then build and, that this is how people build businesses. But very disciplined, conservative, has been someone who has been a source of support to the rest of the family, and a good example. But I think that's also balanced with other members of the family who are more entrepreneurial and sort of higher risk takers.
And Dr. Naledi, I think we're just about to wind our conversation down with you. Let's just hear from you in terms of, paying it forward for this very important month that we're observing right now. I know you ladies on many occasions usually speak about fixing each other's crowns. Let's hear from you just moving forward and empowering women.
Well, I think that in the course of my various portfolios in government, I had wonderful opportunities to ensure that we did pay attention to the matter of gender equality. In particular, I think I was able to do much more in this area when I was in the Department of Science and Technology, because we had a lot of human resource or human development focus funding. And so I was able, through use of that funding, to ensure that increased support was provided to women scientists and to institutions and research programs led by women. And that was, an absolute privilege that I really enjoyed. And I'm always, incredulous at the level of female talent that we have in our country. Recently, I was in a colloquium with women in celebration of Women's Day, and I was just blown away by the rich talent of our country and the amazing capacity that we often neglect. And it's really a proud moment when you are with such young women who have incredible skills, who've built their own companies, successful careers, And when one of them comes to you and says, you know, Minister Pandor, I was a beneficiary of the Tertiary Education Fund when you were deputy chair of the fund, and today here I am. You know, it's a great moment, and it is our freedom that allows us to achieve the kinds of progress that we note in young women today. But much more remains to be done, but we should celebrate the fact that we have begun to move forward.
An inspiring conversation I had there earlier with the former Minister of International Relations, Naledi Pandor, as well as her daughter.